Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at business systems, and the goal of this video is to help you set up systems for your business to build a system-dependent business and not a people-dependent business. And before we get started on the My SME Manual, I want to quickly just give you an illustration of the concept of systems and how important it is to build a system-dependent business and not a people-dependent business. Now over here you'll see a brief example of, let's say this is an organization and we've got the manager or the owner of the business over here, and we're going to pretend like we've got a marketing department. We're going to pretend like this is the sales, and then over here we get the operations department. Right, now the concept of systems is as simple as when this owner founded the business, he was the business, and he eventually had to divide his business into 5 business departments or 5 business boxes, which is marketing, sales, operations, legalities, and management. Currently, he finds himself in the management box, and let's say the legalities also falls under this box. But in the beginning, when he was the business, he obviously did the marketing himself, the sales himself, and the operations himself. And the trick here is to replace yourself with a system. So once you find a pattern that works for the marketing, a pattern that works for the sales, and a pattern that works for the operations, you need to create steps out of those patterns. And once once you create steps out of those patterns, you have some sort of a system going. Then you apply the system and you replace yourself. So let's say you were in this marketing department. You replace yourself now with the 5-step system of how to run the marketing department. And the idea here is to make sure that those steps gets the same result that you got when you were in the department. Now, eventually, the roles have changed. So the system or the 5 steps is keeping you accountable as the manager of those 5 steps. And once you're accountable to those 5 steps and you get the same result, it's the right time to employ somebody in your business. Very important. You will never grow a business if you are forever alone in the business. Once there's enough cash flow in the bank and you've got your 5 steps to get the result, it's time to employ somebody in the business, and all you tell that person is just turn the wheel in this case, or just follow the 5 systems. Now the great advantage to building a system-dependent business is if somebody's not doing their part and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's easy to get rid of them and just replace them with somebody else. And all you tell that person is follow the 5 steps that I've created for this department and you'll get the right result. But let's say, for example, my business becomes people dependent. We've got this woman over here. She's sort of creating her own system here with a rope. The problem is if she now quits or if I need to let her go, the rope falls to the ground. It's a new system that nobody knows how to use. So when the rope falls to ground, I can't just employ somebody else and say, follow the system, because the system was now changed. And that's the problem with a people-dependent business. So I want my business as far as possible to be system-dependent, not people-dependent. And it sometimes is a really fine balance between your business, where you are self-employed, and the moment you have to start employing other people. And I want to just quickly touch on this as it's so important. That process of you being self-employed to employing another person is the most difficult part of taking your business from self-employed to a business. A business is an organization that works without the owner working it, where self-employment is you are doing everything in the business. The process of employing that first person, let's say this marketing lady is my first person, that's the most difficult thing, because now you need to leverage this department to somebody else. You need to trust that they will do their work. You're going to pay extra money on a salary now, and the advantage in that is you've got now time. And I promise you, it's the most difficult thing to get that first person in. But once the first person is in and you've got that time, the rest becomes easier. And then you just duplicate the same pattern with your sales, your operations, and everything that is applicable in your business. I hope that makes sense. Let's quickly jump over to the My SME Manual. We're going to check out our systems on the manual. So we're going to scroll down to number 4, which is My Business Management. Under My Business Management, you'll see that I've got 2 prototype templates that I will explain now shortly. And I also want to note how important it is to make sure that you get into the entrepreneurial mindset. So up to now, you were your business. Everything was hustle, hustle, hustle. You hustled a bit of marketing every day. You hustled a bit of sales every day. You hustled a bit of service or product delivery every day. You're just making sure your legalities is in place and you've got zero control and order in your business. The trick here is to make a mind shift. Very important. You got to shift your mindset to get out of your business and view your business from the outside in. So an entrepreneurial mindset is one that understands he is not the business or she is not the business, but simply the business consists of 5 departments that needs to be managed by the owner. You've got a marketing department, a sales department, an operations department, a legal department, and a management department. The technician's problem, the plumber or the electrician, they are stuck in the electrician services or the plumbing services, and that's all that's important for them. The majority of technicians also don't really like people, so they don't want to do marketing because that's more or less human behavior. They don't want to do sales because now they need to sell themselves, and they absolutely hate the concept of that. They even hate it more to manage other people, so they've got a big problem here. It's not that you are a bad person or a bad businessman or businesswoman or whatever the case is. It's simply a mind shift to understand that even though I am a plumber, that's my technical trade, I am not, my identity is not in a plumber, right? So you are an entrepreneur that can do plumbing services. Okay, for instance, in my example, I'm a registered, accredited professional business coach. I don't see myself as a business coach. I see myself as an entrepreneur that can do business coaching for my clients. All right, but first and foremost, I'm an entrepreneur, and the goal is to build a business coaching practice that works. Not to get stuck in the coaching for 20 years and it's just me because nobody else can do what I can do. I need to figure out what I'm doing right, get that into a system that works, employ somebody to run the system, and I just need to make sure that the same results are kept up to standard consistently. Okay, now that we know the 5 different departments of our business, let's get cracking. So you get marketing, sales, operations, financials, and management. And the trick to turn a box into a department is to implement 4 systems at each box. That's how you turn an entrepreneurial or a business box into a department. And there's 4 systems. These 4 systems will be an information system. You need to keep track of your information. Very important. A daily management system, your tick lists, a communication system, and your execution system or your patterns and templates of how you get the result with a specific thing. Okay, very important. I'm going to show you now an example of information systems. I'm going to show you an example of daily management systems and planning systems. I'm also going to show you an example of communication systems. And lastly, I'm going to maybe chat a bit about the execution. So let's first of all go to information. You'll see I have a link over here for the marketing department specifically on how to track your information. So if you just hit Control, hover over this link and click here, it's going to take you to the sheet. This is a public sheet, but you will need to ask me for access. So what you can do is you can just Google Sheet will give you an option here to request access. So you can just click on that request access. I'll get it in my inbox and I'll grant you access. Please don't change anything on these systems. The idea here for you will be to say, go to File, New, and create your own new spreadsheet, like the one I created for the pricing strategy. I'm going to quickly open up on that sheet, and then I'm going to just show you how to copy over these systems to that sheet, the new sheet that you've created, in order to have your own information systems that you can work on. Now I found the sheet, it's open over here, and this is where we did our financial projection. You'll find that financial projection over here, and how you go about is you just click in that left corner, not on the A or the 1, you click on the left corner, Control C, and then copy it over to the sheet. I'm going to go to our marketing system, which is located over here. I'm going to go to neither A nor 1, but I will click there in the corner. I'm going to press Control and C for copy. Go to the online course example, which is my new sheet. I'm going to click on that plus sign that says, you'll see there, it says Add Sheet. It's going to open up a new sheet. I'm going to click on the first block, Control V, and it's now going to copy over the formulas and the sheet as it should look. Right, there we go. Perfect. What you can do is I'm just going to change up the sizes of these blocks. So I'm going to highlight everything, go to the top and just make it a bit smaller. And then this is the middle part, which I want to decrease a lot. There we go. Right. The idea of this sheet is for your marketing department, and this will give you the concept of how to track information. So with these sheets that I'm suggesting, please note that it's just suggestions. You can, from your side, work with these sheets. It's just the concepts. I want you to think about your business and what you do specifically, and how you can create information systems for every single thing that you do in your business. Okay, now, so everything here is not black and white. You must do what I tell you. It's just to get the thoughts in your mind going of what is information systems. So you'll see over here, let's say we've got a month that we want to track. I want to track what happened in my marketing this month. So I'm going to have a budget for each channel. I've got Google Ads, we've got Facebook, we've got newsletters, LinkedIn, and media as an example. I've got a budget for each one to do marketing. I've got my actual amount spent, and now I need to track how many leads I got from each channel and how many conversions I got. This will give me an indication of the strike rate of each marketing channel, as well as I track the turnover from each channel. That means I can track the profitability, the profit margin percentage, the marketing cost percentage, and the channel profitability. And by just using this example, you'll see that if I keep the data, then the data and the statistics will eventually help me to make decisions. So if I look at this option right here, let's say it's obvious that if I go to channel profitability, 59.41%, it's a no-brainer. Google AdWords in this example is my best marketing channel, and it's the most profitable one as well. You just need to populate the yellow blocks. The gray blocks is automatically calculated. And then you track for week 1 your information, for week 2, week 3, and week 4. And if I go to the top, you'll see that we now track the monthly information. You don't have to change anything here. You just populate the yellow blocks that you see down below on the weeks, and then the monthly feedback will tell you exactly what's going on. So let's say, for an example, we spend 11,500 Rand on Google Ads and 5,900 on Facebook. Google brought in 120,000 Rand, Facebook brought in 60, and we can see the channel profitability, Google wins by far. Okay, this is just an example, but it will give you great information on your marketing department on what decisions to make and which channels to invest in more, that you can, for instance, get more business into your business. Right, so that is information. I'm going to show you the other sheets as well. If I go back to the shared sheet, we've got marketing systems. I also then have your sales box over here, a very simple sales system that's going to show you, whoops, let's go back to the sales box. Oh, I accidentally copied the other one over. If you do that, it's not a problem. Just press Control and Z. Then it's going to undo your mistake. Right, so let's go back. I'm going to copy now my sales information sheet over. So I'm going to just rename this one and say marketing box. And then we're going to create a new sheet that says sales box. Right, I'm going to go back here to the top, Control V, and I'm going to copy over my sales system. This is a very simple example. If you've got, for instance, an online business where you generate leads, give them phone calls, try to make a sale online. Again, just an example of how you can create an information system for your sales department. So I want to track the client's information when they fill in the application form. I want to track the date, the marketing channel, the client's name, his phone number, his email address, and what service he applied for. Then I'm entering my intro phase of the sales pitch or the sales process. My negotiation phase will follow after that, and I've got my closing the deal phase, like I've told you guys in the sales process at your business model. Okay, this is very exciting. I just want to say I'm enjoying this video a lot because it's such an important part of your business. Okay, now I can track exactly where my leads are coming from. That will help me when I need to keep the information up to date. So even when I'm doing my recon for when the sale comes through, I want to make sure that I track the marketing channel of where the lead came through. That will help me to indicate how much turnover comes from a certain marketing channel to make the right marketing decisions. Okay, so this is how I track this. You want to then in the intro phase make sure that you send an email and introduction to the client. You want to have a phone call with a person or a second phone call with a person, followed up by an email with a quote. Always send them a quote, even if they didn't ask for it, just quote them. They can't do anything about that. And remind them of the service. Again, I'm going to say this is just an example for a service-based business. If you've got a product or logistics or whatever the case is, you got to ask yourself, how can I create an information system on a Google Sheets or an Excel sheet that can track the information and make sure that every single lead goes through the exact same process in order to get the exact same result. And if that sale doesn't come through, at least you can say, I didn't waste an opportunity. Like this person went through the exact same process as that person, and I gave myself the best possible chance to close the sale. Right, after, and this is now an example where you can see we've got Johnny Dua here. He filled in the application form. He wants a custom shoe, and I'm going to give him a call on this date. Okay, now you can also, if you employ somebody in the sales department, you can track what's happening in the sales department. You can go and say, for instance, why is this phone call not done yet? Because the yellow here means I still need to do it. Why is this phone call not done yet? And it's already 2 days. Let's say the application form was filled in on the 19th. So if it was filled in on the 19th, it should have been done. It's not allowing me to do the 9. Cool, there we go. So if it was filled in on the 19th, it should have been already done on the 19th. You at least have a 4-hour window where the salesman must follow up with a new lead. Now I can contact my salesperson or go to his office and say, why is the call not done? And it makes my management so much easier. Right, so this is just an example of how to track your sales information. We're going to go to the next box, which is your operations over here. And under operations, I'm going to copy over that sheet again. I'm going to call it the operations box. Let's add it here. And the idea now is to, once a person makes payment or you send the invoice out and the sale is going to continue, you're going to copy this person over Control X and you're going to bring them over to the operations sheet. And you're going to create a new line at the top and you're going to Control V. There you go. Right. You'll see that the client details is exactly the same. That's how I created the sheet. And from row G, you're just going to change the concept here because this information still needs to be populated. Right. So when did the client make a payment? You can now enter the date. Now you know when the client made a payment. Do we still need his information, or did we receive the details or not? Did we confirm that the payment has been received? Because there's nothing worse after you made a payment and nobody confirms it. Confirm the payments, otherwise your clients are going crazy. They think you're a scam. All right, and then step 1, step 2, step 3 of the service delivery. You can follow down on the levels here below. And again, it makes your management so much easier because you can just log in and check if the clients are being serviced by your employees or not. Right, a system-dependent business, not a people-dependent business. Let's continue. You'll see that there's some other information sheets here as well. I'm going to leave this for our legal box, which is in the next couple of videos. I want to jump back to the My SME Manual. And I want to show you, that's basically the first system, the information system. You'll see that you need an information system for your marketing, your sales, product service delivery. Your compliance also needs information, and your management. This will make your management so much easier. Right, we're going to go to the second prototype system, which is your daily system, or in other words, planning, which means I have to obviously plan the bigger goal, which is my 5-year goal. How do I then have yearly goals? How do I break those yearly goals up into monthly goals? And then finally, weekly and daily goals. So I've created a prototype system here on Trello, which is a very nifty little app. I know there's others as well. Monday.com I think is a good one. So you've got other tick lists and type of management systems also. You're welcome to check that out. I've just created a systems prototype example on Trello to give you the right idea of how to plan. So when you think about planning, it's ultimately taking a massive elephant and dividing it into bite-sized chunks. That's what planning is. So what we want to do is we want to go and say, what's the massive elephant? The massive elephant is, what's the idea of my business? What am I, or what would I like to accomplish in 5 years? And then what am I seeing for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5? So you'll see here year 1. If I scroll all the way down, you're going to see year 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this is taking the massive elephant, dividing it into bite-sized chunks. And when you think of year 1, let's say we're going to go and say, okay, I need obviously a financial goal per month, or a yearly financial goal that I want to accomplish. I want to develop and build my team. I want to make sure my business model and operations are continually improved. I want to build partnerships where I can, and I want to expand. And how this then works is it's just literally dividing that elephant constantly into bite-sized chunks over and over and over. So if I've got my yearly goal, which is, let's say financially, I want to do 1 million rand or $1 million, then I'm going to say per month, that means I need to do a turnover of 83,350 rand. It looks a lot better. If I give my salesman a goal of 83,350 Rand, he's like, for January, for instance, he's going to be like, whew, that looks doable. I can do that. Rather than saying, hey, Niku, you need to do R1,000,000 this year. And that's just overwhelming. So how do I break down that massive goal into bite-sized chunks? So then obviously you can say, if I'm going to do the 83,350, it's 21,000 Rand a month. A week. So then you even take that 83 for the month, you break it down into 20,000 for the week. And then it's 4 weeks. And then you can even divide that into a daily goal, and it becomes easier and easier. That's how you break down a massive elephant into bite-sized chunks that it makes sense for everybody involved. Okay, so this is an example of your financial goal then. Your second goal will be your team and leadership development. And I encourage you to think about a theme per month that you want to touch on with your employees in order to like create that culture that you want to create with them. And know that that culture will not just happen. You need to train them and educate them and teach them on the culture that you see for the business, and you need to back that up with why you see the culture, why it's actually important. Because if they don't understand why you want a specific culture, then they're going to say, you know what, I know it's important for you, but I can't see it, so I'm not going to do it. All right. Then also staying on team and leadership development. Give them some books to read, some goals to accomplish. Always celebrate birthdays, very important. And get experts in from the outside to train them. Okay, sometimes we think they will just be good at what they need to do, and we think it's so obvious, but it's actually not. It's not. For you, you founded the business, you understand everything. They don't. We sometimes as business owners just assume people know stuff, but they really don't. So we need to dig in, get our hands dirty, and make sure that we explain everything to them as if they were 5 years old, not like questioning their intelligence, but just don't assume that they should know something. Right, then goal number 3, business model. This is probably the biggest area with your people that needs constant redevelopment. To give you all an example, literally it's now May 2022. Since January 2022, I've reinvested a lot of money back into my business. Simply doing the marketing department over. In other words, branding upgrade. I upgraded my total brand with everything involved because it was necessary and it was outdated. I've upgraded my websites now. I mentioned on the other video that we're in the process of upgrading the Small Business Coach website and the Business Plan Pro website. I'm upgrading the website. It costs me money. Then we have developed an SEO strategy for the business. I'm gonna later this year I'm gonna dig into everything marketing, and I'm gonna look at all my advertising channels and redo them and try to see if I can improve it, and so on and so forth. And then sales. I'm literally having a meeting this week with my salesman on the entire sales process for the business plans. We're gonna dig that thing up from scratch, look at every single thing and redo it. Operations. Earlier this year, I went through all my business plan processes and just improving and increasing them, and the list goes on and on and on. So this is really the area where you dig into your foundation and make sure that you've got a proper business model that's updated. Okay, things can go outdated very quickly. There's a lot of competition out there. You sit and sleep because you've got a successful business today, but you're not planning for tomorrow. And suddenly tomorrow, the competitor takes you over and you were like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Because you stopped developing yourself. Steve Jobs said, great companies has the ability to reinvent themselves. And I want to encourage you that a business owner must yearly reinvent his business over and over and over and over. And I can't stress this point enough. Right, and then we get to goal number 4, which is your projects and partnerships, and goal number 5, expansion. Just go write something there with a date if it's applicable. Then year 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, we know in business that things doesn't just happen according to plan, but you want an idea that you want to pursue, that you can break down. Okay, so you just want something there to know this is where I want to go in the business. This is the direction, and without being too specific for year 2, 3, and 4, and 5, just put something there that makes sense, that is realistic, and that's within your grasp. This is how you plan your year and your 5-year goal. Then we're going to go to monthly planning. In other words, I've got my yearly goals now. Now I want to take these yearly goals and divide them into monthly plans. So I've got a personal concept here and a professional concept. If you want to set goals for yourself, I suggest you put spiritual goal for yourself, a personal goal for yourself, relationship goals with other people, health and wellness, and hobbies. Right, go get some personal goals and then business goals. So if you've got a couple of brands like we do, normally I have a brand, and then I've got a monthly goal, which is what's the financial goal, what's the sales targets, what's the marketing targets, how will I grow my team, is there a social, looking into the marketing and building, for example, and then 3 additional building tasks. Then I divide my things to do into weekly plans, okay, and the last week then consists of my weekly plan, plus I need to do month-end stuff like submit taxes, pay salaries, etc., etc. That's your monthly goal. And now the example for your daily goal is again taking the weekly goal in the previous card, taking the weekly goal, dividing it into daily goals. So you can just see how I'm dividing the elephant from a year to months and then days. Right, so in the days you get your routine. So let's say you wake up, you exercise a bit, take a shower, a spiritual devotion, you read something, a bit of newspaper articles to see what the markets are doing, you take your lunch, maybe some evening exercise, you switch off. Very interesting, Dr. Caroline Leaf speaks about your brain at the end of the day wants to switch off. So normally what happens, we just go to sleep without switching off. Then your brain's like, this is my chance. I'm going to quickly file everything that happened today. This is scientific. And then you can't fall asleep because suddenly your brain's super active. Okay, what you actually need to do is go lie on the couch or sit in the chair or just take a chill pill for 10 to 15 minutes, not doing anything. And then let your brain just organize itself, and you'll see your sleeping patterns will increase drastically. Right, then we get daily business systems. You got your management box, your marketing box, your sales box, your operations box, and your management again. What you want to do is you want to give each box a time zone with ticks that needs to happen in those time zones. When I do management from 8 to 9, I'm the management employee. I'm not the salesman, so I'm going to just do management stuff. Then I'm going to jump into my marketing box. Now I'm just the marketing employee and I tick my list. Then I become the sales employee and I tick my list, operations and management and so forth. And this is how you can track your day. So what you can do is you can click on that link, you can request access, I'll give you access, and then you can copy this over to your own Trello profile. Please, again, don't work on these prototypes, as that will create a problem for me in the future. So let's jump over to the My SME Manual, and you'll see we've already covered now your information systems and your daily systems. Now the communication system. A quick example of a communication system will be, for instance, let's say I want to, or let's say I've got a new lead for business coaching. I've got my signatures over there. I've already have an email that I want to send to the client before I call them. Okay, so there's my coaching email before call. I'm going to click on that and you'll see here's my communication system. I've got a subject. There we go. I'm going to put the subject there. Good day, let's say John. Thank you for your application for business coaching. In order to start with the process, see the steps below. So I've got my steps, then I've got a form that they need to complete, and I break down my service. This is a logical component. People want to know what's included for me. People want to know how much will it cost, and people want to know what's a prospectus. Right, so let's say it's for advanced business coaching. Okay, so this package is a bit more expensive because there's more employees, there's more admin to assist with when we coach, and I break it up into monthly payments. And there you go, voila. I've got a very professional email ready to send, and I'm happy. My sales system is done. Great. Of my communication system. So that's an example of a communication system. It includes all the concepts of how I will communicate. From the moment you come in contact with my business as a client, up to the employees, how will we communicate? Email, SMS, WhatsApp, and so forth. That's for you to decide based on where and how your target market can easily communicate. And then lastly, your execution system. My suggestion with execution systems will be to create patterns and templates that work. Get yourself on cloud folders. Okay, otherwise, if it's just on your folders in your laptop and your computer, it's dangerous, because if the computer crashes or gets stolen or whatever the case is, you lose everything. So have the stuff on cloud, keep it simple. There's a lot of options out there. You've got Microsoft OneDrive, you've got Google Cloud, you've got Apple Cloud if you're on Apple, and so forth. Right, that in a nutshell is your systems. That's how you build a system-dependent business, not a people-dependent business. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was insightful, and I will see you in the next video.